The lesson.
Oh, yeah.
Amongst all this stuff, at what age did you become engaged with hip-hop music as a fan? And then at what age did you decide to pick up a pen and start trying to write your own shit? And how did all that come about?
So when the first time I wrote a rap, I wasn't even a fan of hip-hop. Wasn't even a fan of rap. I was straight up, I was Jackson 5, straight up Jackson 5, fucking Backstreet Boys, just young, you know what I mean? Just into all that. Whatever was going good at the time, I wasn't really into the rap, but my brother was more into it. He was a DJ and doing all that stuff, but then my brother and my sister invited me to a workshop. I think I was, maybe 13. There was a workshop being held at Mount Druitt in Tregear at the community centre. So I went down there when I was about 13 and met the people that were running it, they were an Aboriginal group. They went by the name of Local Knowledge. So they pretty much helped me write my first rap. Didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but I done it, and then I still wasn't really into it. I was still didn't care for music or anything like that, but then I started dealing with some of my own demons, battling my own demons, and I didn't like asking for help. I didn't, as a man, I was taught, you don't ask for help, you deal with it. You know what I mean? And but it was eating me. All the shit that I was dealing with was eating me. And then I came across DMX, and I heard him talk his pain, and I could hear the pain in his voice, but he made it sound fucking good, So that's when I started writing. Now, not many people would know, but when I first started rapping, I had the American accent because that's all I knew. That's all I heard in my household because of my brother. That's all you seen on TV. That's all you heard on the radio, you know what I mean? So when I started, I had the American accent, and then I think the first person I heard with the Australian accent was By SB. And that was, what song was that? I think it was Hursty. It's all good out in Hursty. So I heard that one. And mind you, like when I first started rapping, I didn't go hard. I was on, I was off, I was on. It was more of an outlet for me to express, And then, and then I heard him and I thought, he sounds half decent with the most Aussiest accent you could fucking hear, right? I thought, if he can pull it off, I can pull it off, right? So that's when I started doing the Australian accent, and it's just been on from there,
Yeah, right. And then so when you first heard that By SB joint, were you up, because obviously he's from Melbourne, were you up on Sydney rap at that point at all?
I was. However, with the Sydney rap, when I was started, there was only a handful. So there was the only other person that I knew with the Aussie accent was Forte. But the other boys that used to do it in the Blacktown area, they all had their American accents too. Don't get me wrong, they made dope music. You know what I mean? I thought it was dope, And then, but yeah, when it comes to actual Aussie slang within rap, there wasn't much of it. So.
And then so after you've heard, By SB, and you've started to rap with the Aussie accent, how did things progress for you musically from there?
Pretty fucking good, man. I would say. Let me. Since we were talking about graffiti, so the first time I heard that Hursty track from By SB, I was actually on my way to Crocker's Paint to buy a shitload of paint with 2 carloads of boys, and that's when I heard it, and then that made me fall in love with it more because he's talking about painting as well. You know what I mean? So, but progression-wise, once I heard him, then I started. Who do I hear next? Then I heard Bliss and Esso a fair bit because my brother loved Bliss and Esso. And then I heard a little bit of Hijack and Torture. But then I heard Phrase. Now, I mentioned Phrase's name. Probably 90% of people that watch this are going to go, who? To me, he, hands down, he's the best artist MC in Australia. Full stop. That's in my book. You know what I mean? Speaking of him too, I actually met him in person through Daniel Merriweather. I'm not sure if you've heard of that man. He done a lot of singing. He actually lives in the United States now. So when I started getting more into the hip hop, I used to go and too young to get into. There's a place in Sydney called the Gaelic Club. Now that was every week, notorious for Australian hip hop gigs. Every week, I was too young to get in, so I'd go and I'd hang out the back because there was no backstage. There was just a roller door, then there was a back street. I'd hang out there and just wait for him to come out and talk to him and spit rhymes to him. And Daniel Merriweather, Fraser was actually on stage, and I was talking to Daniel Merriweather, and I was telling him, I'm a rapper too, this and that. And he asked me to spit for him, so I spat for him. I'm only young as fuck. He goes, "You're coming to Melbourne. We'll fly back tomorrow." I'm not fucking going nowhere with you, mate. You know what I mean? And then Fraser come out, and then he told me to spit again for Fraser, and Fraser was on the same page. You got to come to Melbourne, blah, 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 you know. And that's what kind of pushed me more to do it, because not only was I expressing my feelings and shit that was eating me up, but these fellas are feeling it. Now, especially Fraser, because he was one of the men that inspired me. You know what I mean?
What is it about him as an artist that makes you say he's the best Australian rap artist all time?
Me personally, he was, back then when I listened to his shit, he was relevant, but I can still listen to his shit today and it's still relevant for me. You know what I mean? He helped me through some dark fucking times, man, just with his music, and he will never know because I haven't seen him since that night at the Gaelic Club, you know what I mean? So I have reached out and tried to reach out to him, and got in contact with, I don't know if you remember, Weapon X. Got in contact with him, and he said the same thing. Nah, Fraser's gone missing. He doesn't do music. No one's heard from him. So, but yeah, he was more of an inspiration and an influence on me. So that's why I put him in one of my. He's in my top 5, if not the best in Oz. So.
The lesson. 927. Oh yeah.